In whatever project I find a road in which I find something innovative or new or something that brings up a little bit of a joy into the product. All the themes that I touch, they're a little bit playful. As I said, it's like serious fun.
He's Spanish, lives by the coast of the Mediterranean, and he describes himself as a happy guy. I'm interested to find out, where did all this playfulness come from? Is it your upbringing in Spain?
Living in Spain and being raised in the freedom of Spain after Franco time, which is my time, yeah, probably brought a lot of happiness to my life, because everyone was really free and everyone was like positive, and you know, Spain was under a new joy in the 80s and the 90s. You know, let's make things new and let's create. The first thing I discovered when I was a design student is that I went to Milan and everyone was like this black dressed designer and you know, I'm a designer sort of attitude, and I felt like shit. I was like, this is not good for me. This is not right. I mean, where's the color? Where's the joy? You know, this is a discipline that is much more artistic, in which you can give much more of your grain, of your own identity. You know, I dressed really funny. I had my glasses in red, and they put me on the cover of the Financial Times, and they said I was the clown prince of design. Clown prince of design. I have to laugh about that. But it is true. Like I was not portraying myself in black and very intellectual. No, I was dressing as a sheep, or I was dressing as a clown, or I was dressing as a whatever, because I thought you had to have fun in this profession. It's a traveling sketchbook.
It went to Asia with you?
Yeah, I've been traveling with it, and you know what I do is like I draw free whatever comes to my mind in the day. You know, like sometimes it could be something I saw, but you know, these little things become actually elements, and then I can use for elements of my work.
And yet you're designing for a Danish company like Fritz Hansen.
Yeah.
Very clean lines, disciplined.
A lot of people think that the Danish tradition, it's actually too serious and sort of more dramatic, squarish, and you know, only rational and only functional base. But it is not true. Actually, if you think about the greatest design in the 1950s and the greatest designers of Denmark, you know, if you take Finn Juhl or you take Arne Jacobsen, they were all playful. They were all, you know, making organic forms. There was a lot of wood toys. They made a lot of brass elements. If you look at Finn Juhl furniture, the way he worked with wood, the assembly, the forms about it, everything was, you know, was made for humans. Humans that are not square and rectangular, they're round because we have these forms like that. So why furniture should have been different, yeah? So I think my way of looking at it is actually much more Danish than how Danish try to be Danish, you see? So. For example, this pillow, this is a nice detail, you know, that the pillow is going round like that and doing that. You know, this pillow could have been straight and this could have been longer. This is shorter because it makes you go in and go out easily, you know? And sometimes you can sit like that and go, ay na birra, you know? These things are the details that make a good design different.
But you go further, not just creating playful designs. You also were quoted to say that these objects should make you happy.
You know, the happiness thing is just an attitude towards making things that are, in a way, you know, not aggressive to you. Because believe it or not, a lot of the design we are surrounded by, it's aggressive. You know, it's kind of like people think they design it frontally, they don't design it sidewise. They don't think that we like a sofa from behind also, you know, like a sofa is like a square and horrible from behind, but then it's like beautiful from the front, or let's say beautiful. But there's a lot of things that are not, you know, they're not meant to be worn. They're not meant to hug you, yeah? Mm-hmm. So when I think about this kind of chair, or I think about the things I design, they're meant to hug you, you know? They're meant to be good with you. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be part of you, you see? And there is an attitude towards that. It's like how you put the button, how do you do the softness of it, how the light goes into the pieces, you know, when you plug off the light and you put it more cozy in your house, you know, these kind of things. Small details, though very important details. You know, how a leg touches the ground. Does it do a gesture like a ballerina, or it's like putting a feet like super heavy into the ground?
Did you go through a period of struggling as an artist?
I think how I started it actually marked who I am today, and why it became important what I did in my career because I didn't go through the normal path. You know, I didn't do the thing of like I finished as a designer, I try to go into a studio and see if they give me a job, and then from there eventually apply to try to work with industry and try to make something. I didn't do that. I actually went to super shitty gallery from a friend of mine, which actually we both said it was really bad gallery always, and we always like, you know, I started to do some work and trying to bring it up to this gallery, trying to make an exhibition, trying to make whatever, like drawing the walls and put in ceramics, and you know, people didn't understand it. Still now people don't understand it anyway. You know, they were like, what is this? Is that art? Is that design? You know, like these pieces, what are, is that a flower pot or is that a sculpture? Like whatever. And some people got in love with these things and bought them. Some other people didn't understand them, so they went like whatever. Some people understood them extremely well. Like, you know, for my surprise, when I was like starting with almost absolutely no money, yeah, I had even a museum buying my work. So I was like, what? Why are they doing that? And that gave me confidence. These kind of little touches of confidence made you realize that what you were doing, even though it was bizarre and strange and you were not sure about it, like everyone else that is starting, it had something.
Is there one design that you feel is the turning point?
I worked with a company that was making a technique that is called rotomolding, which is like you use a mold with plastic to make a chair. And they normally were doing this for outdoor furniture. And this was my first chair for outdoor. That's like 12 years ago. And it costed so much money to make a mold. I mean, that company was small. So I remember not sleeping in the night going like, did I make the right design? Because this mold costs 250,000 euros. And if it's not right, I'm really gonna have a problem, like big time. So I had these, you know, crazy nights thinking like, did I do it right? And then plus, I said to myself, I'm not really being myself, and I always had a fight with what I believe and what I do, you know? So I remember doing this project and thinking, it's not enough handmade, it's not enough human, because a machine is doing it. So I remember talking to this guy going, can we finish this piece and then have one guy upholstering it by hand? And he was like, it's a plastic chair, what are you gonna do, upholster it in leather? And I said, yeah. So let's mix up the, you know, plastic thing with the leather upholstery, you know, the leather handmade thing. And you know, that movement, it felt so, you know, everyone thought it was ridiculous at the beginning. But then it became very iconic suddenly because you had a, you know, I remember reading an article of somebody, you know, speaking about this kind of chair going like, it's kind of an interesting chair because it uses industry, but at the same time, it hands makes something. So it's a mixture in between the machine and the man, the tradition, and the technology.
So it's your first time in the Philippines, but you
time.
had a few weeks around Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what your impression is.
Manila is a really strange city. It's like a really crazy city, I think. Even though there's a lot of places that were destroyed during the war, and that's a shame, obviously, that's terrible. I could feel there was a history, and there was a lot in there, you know, a lot of interesting and very glamorous times in which like things happen. And I guess there's going to be a renaissance here for sure. You know, not so many cities have this sort of, you know, interesting, in a way, avant-garde sort of culture. You know, believe it or not, some people wouldn't define it. You know, some people would say, oh, it's really hard to define maybe the Filipino culture. But in my appreciation so far, I see there is something very magical about it, you know? Like there is something that, you know, there's been years in which cultures were fusioned together, in which people united together. There's something special about it.
It's not bad, huh? Go, back around the patio. Man, I like this bike. If I had a bike like that in Valencia, oh, you'd be the star. I'll be the star, definitely.